The emergency beacon pierced through the void of space like a desperate scream, its crimson pulse traveling faster than light across the galaxy. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair aboard the UES Prometheus, humanity's flagship, when the signal reached Earth's outer defense perimeter. The bridge fell silent as the haunting transmission filled the air, a woman's voice, broken and filled with terror. "This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the colony ship New Horizon. We need immediate assistance. They came from nowhere, the children, oh God, the children." The transmission cut to static, leaving only the rhythmic beeping of the distress beacon. Admiral Chen's weathered face hardened as she processed what she'd just heard. New Horizon had been humanity's most ambitious colonization effort, 50,000 souls traveling to establish a new world in the Kepler system, 300 light-years from Earth. "Communications, try to re-establish contact," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the ice forming in her veins. Lieutenant Rodriguez worked frantically at his console. "No response, Admiral. The beacon is automated. Whatever happened there, it triggered their emergency protocol." Chen stood, her tall frame casting a shadow across the bridge. At 62, she had seen humanity's expansion from a single world to a sprawling interstellar civilization. She'd fought pirates in the asteroid belts, negotiated with alien traders, and defended Earth from the void plague. But something about this transmission felt different, darker than anything she'd encountered before. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command," she commanded. Within minutes, the holographic form of General Marcus Thompson materialized on the bridge. His expression was grim, matching Chen's own concerns. "Sarah, tell me you have more information than we do," Thompson said without preamble. "Negative, Marcus. Just that transmission. Have you heard from any other colonies in that sector?" Thompson's jaw tightened. "That's what worries me. We've lost contact with 3 other settlements in the past week. Kepler 442b, Ross 128, and now New Horizon. The pattern suggests something systematic." Chen felt her blood run cold. 3 colonies, each with populations between 10 and 50,000. If something had happened to all of them. "We need to investigate," she said. "I can have the Prometheus they're in." "No." Thompson's voice was firm. "If we're dealing with a threat capable of taking out multiple colonies, we're not sending in a single ship. I'm authorizing Protocol 7. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Protocol 7 hadn't been invoked since the Centauri War 30 years ago. It meant the mobilization of the entire human fleet, every ship, every crew, every weapon in humanity's arsenal. "Marcus, are you sure that's necessary?" Chen asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. "Sarah, in the past 72 hours, we've potentially lost over 100,000 civilians. We don't know what we're dealing with, but we're going to be ready for anything." The transmission ended, leaving Chen alone with her thoughts and the weight of command. She looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. "All stations, this is Admiral Chen," she announced over the ship's communication system. "Prepare for immediate departure to Rally Point Alpha. We're going to war." Rally Point Alpha was a massive space station orbiting a dead star in the neutral zone, designed specifically for fleet coordination during major conflicts. Chen had never seen it fully operational, but as the Prometheus approached, she was amazed by the sheer scale of humanity's response. Ships of every class and design filled the space around the station. The massive dreadnoughts of the Earth Defense Force formed the backbone of the fleet, their kilometer-long hulls bristling with weapons. Surrounding them were the sleek cruisers of the Colonial Navy, fast and maneuverable, perfect for hit-and-run tactics. Fighter squadrons buzzed between the larger ships like angry wasps, while supply vessels worked tirelessly to keep the growing armada fed and armed. "Fleet count?" Chen asked as they docked. 247 ships and counting," reported Commander Jackson, her first officer. "Representatives from every human colony, plus the home fleet." Chen nodded, impressed despite the grim circumstances. When threatened, humanity had always shown its greatest strength, the ability to unite against a common enemy. The War Council convened in the station's main briefing room, a vast chamber with holographic displays showing star maps, ship deployments, and what little intelligence they had on the missing colonies. The room filled with admirals, generals, and colony leaders from across human space. Admiral Chen found herself designated as overall fleet commander, a responsibility that weighed heavily on her shoulders. She studied the faces around her, some she'd known for decades, others were strangers united only by their shared humanity and determination to protect it. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "we're here because something has attacked our people. We don't know what, we don't know why, but we're going to find out. And when we do, we're going to make sure it never happens again." Dr. Elizabeth Hartwell, the fleet's chief xenobiologist, stood to address the group. "Based on the limited data we have, I believe we're dealing with a previously unknown species. The coordinated attacks on multiple colonies suggest intelligence and organization far beyond anything we've encountered." "What about the transmission from New Horizon?" asked Admiral Torres of the Mars Defense Fleet. "Any analysis of the background sounds?" Dr. Hartwell's expression darkened. "There were sounds in the background that don't match any known species. Clicking, chittering noises that suggest an insectoid origin. But the scale of the attack implies something much larger than typical insect behavior." Chen absorbed this information, her mind racing through possibilities. "Dr. Hartwell, in your expert opinion, what are we likely facing?" "Based on the evidence, I believe we're dealing with a hive mind species, possibly insectoid, definitely aggressive, and clearly capable of spaceflight. The coordinated nature of the attacks suggests they're not random predators but a organized military force." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had encountered various alien species during its expansion, but none had been openly hostile. Pirates and raiders existed, but they were typically small-scale threats. This was something entirely different. "How many ships will we need?" Chen asked. General Thompson, attending via hologram from Earth, responded immediately. "Everything we have. I've authorized the activation of Reserve Fleet Alpha and the mothballed ships from the Centauri yards. We're looking at over 400 ships when fully mobilized." Admiral Chen felt the weight of command settle on her shoulders. 400 ships represented nearly the entire military might of human civilization. If they failed, there would be no second chance. "Very well," she said. "We leave for the Kepler system in 18 hours. All ships will maintain radio silence once we enter the target zone. We go in prepared for anything." As the meeting broke up, Chen found herself alone with the star charts. The Kepler system was 3 days away at maximum burn. 3 days to prepare for what might be humanity's greatest battle. The journey to Kepler passed in tense silence. The fleet moved in perfect formation, a testament to human organization and discipline. Chen spent her time reviewing intelligence reports, studying what little they knew about the missing colonies, and trying to prepare for the unknown. On the second day, they received another transmission, this one from an automated probe that had been monitoring the outer edge of the Kepler system. The footage it sent back chilled everyone who saw it. The probe's cameras showed the colony of New Horizon, but it was barely recognizable. The once thriving settlement was now a twisted mass of organic structures, dark, resinous towers that pulsed with an alien rhythm. The original human buildings had been consumed or transformed into something that belonged in a nightmare. "My God," whispered Dr. Hartwell as they watched the footage. "They're not just attacking the colonies, they're transforming them." Chen stared at the images, her mind reeling. "Into what?" "I don't know, but look at the patterns. Those structures, they're not random. They're organized, purposeful. It's like they're building something." The implications were terrifying. If the aliens weren't just destroying human colonies but converting them for their own use, it suggested a long-term plan that went far beyond simple conquest. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Rodriguez interrupted, "we're receiving a tight beam transmission from the scout ship Icarus. They're reporting massive alien activity in the Kepler system." Chen's blood ran cold. "Put it through." Captain Maria Santos of the Icarus appeared on the main screen, her face pale but determined. "Admiral, we've reached the outer edge of the system. The aliens have built a massive structure around the star itself, some kind of energy harvesting array. And ma'am, there are ships. Thousands of them." The bridge fell silent as the implications hit home. If the aliens were building around the star, they weren't just conquering, they were harvesting the system's energy for some larger purpose. Captain, can you get us detailed scans without being detected? Chen asked. Already on it, Admiral. Transmitting data now. The information that flooded the fleet's computers was staggering. The alien ships were unlike anything in human experience, organic-looking vessels that seemed to grow rather than be built. They ranged from small fighters no bigger than human interceptors to massive bioships that dwarfed even humanity's largest dreadnoughts. Fleet count? Chen asked, though she dreaded the answer. Preliminary estimates suggest over 2,000 ships, reported the intelligence officer. And Admiral, they're not just sitting there. They're moving with purpose, like they're preparing for something. Chen studied the tactical display, her mind racing. 2,000 ships against 400, the odds were daunting, but not impossible. Humanity had faced worse odds before and survived through superior tactics and technology. All ships, battle stations, she announced. We're going in. The Battle of Kepler would later be remembered as the largest naval engagement in human history. As the human fleet approached the system, the alien ships moved to intercept them with a coordination that spoke of hive mind intelligence. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching as the two forces closed on each other. The aliens had arranged their ships in a complex pattern that seemed almost organic, flowing formations that shifted and adapted like a living thing. All ships, this is Admiral Chen, she broadcast to the fleet. We're going to show these things what happens when you threaten humanity. Attack Formation Delta 7. Concentrate fire on their largest vessels. The human fleet spread out in a classic attack formation, with the heavy dreadnoughts forming the center while cruisers and destroyers moved to flank positions. Fighter squadrons launched from carrier ships, creating a cloud of small, fast targets that would be difficult for the aliens to track. The first contact came at extreme range, with both sides exchanging long-range fire. The aliens' weapons were unlike anything humans had encountered, streams of corrosive energy that ate through armor and hull plating like acid. But human weapons proved effective as well, their railguns and plasma cannons punching through the organic armor of the alien ships. They're adapting, reported the tactical officer. Their formation is changing in response to our attack pattern. Chen watched in fascination and horror as the alien fleet literally flowed around the human attack, like water around a stone. Individual ships moved with perfect coordination, as if they were all part of a single organism. Switch to attack pattern Gamma, she ordered. Keep them guessing. The battle raged for hours, with both sides taking heavy casualties. The aliens' superior numbers began to tell as they enveloped the human fleet in a complex three-dimensional net. But human technology and tactics proved their worth as well. The disciplined fire of the dreadnoughts carved through alien formations, while the speed and agility of the smaller ships allowed them to strike at weak points. Then something changed. Admiral, the communications officer called out urgently, we're receiving a signal from the alien fleet. It's in English. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. Put it through. The voice that filled the bridge was unmistakably human, but there was something wrong with it, a hollow, echoing quality that made everyone's skin crawl. Admiral Chen, the voice said, you must stop this attack. You don't understand what you're fighting. Who is this? Chen demanded. I am Commander Elena Vasquez of the New Horizon Colony. Or I was, before I was chosen to serve a greater purpose. The bridge crew exchanged horrified glances. Commander Vasquez was the woman whose distress call had started this entire crisis. But that had been days ago, and according to the probe footage, the colony had been completely transformed. That's impossible, Chen said. The colony was destroyed. Not destroyed, the voice replied. Transformed. Improved. The collective has shown us a better way, Admiral. We are no longer bound by the limitations of individual consciousness. We are part of something greater. Dr. Hartwell stepped forward. Admiral, this confirms my worst fears. The aliens aren't just conquering, they're assimilating. They're turning humans into part of their collective. Commander Vasquez, Chen said, trying to keep her voice steady, if you're still in there, you need to fight this. You need to resist. There is no resistance, the voice replied. There is only the collective. And you, Admiral, have been chosen to join us. Your tactical skills, your leadership, the collective has need of them. Chen felt her blood run cold. The aliens weren't just trying to destroy humanity, they were trying to absorb it, to make it part of their hive mind. It was a fate worse than death. All ships, she broadcast on the fleet frequency, priority alpha order, no prisoners, no surrender. We cannot allow these things to take any more of us. The battle intensified as the human fleet fought with new desperation. But the aliens seemed to anticipate their every move, as if they could read human thoughts and intentions. The assimilated humans within their collective were providing them with intimate knowledge of human tactics and psychology. Admiral, the tactical officer reported, we're losing ships faster than we can replace them. The aliens are concentrating their fire on our command vessels. Chen realized with growing horror that the aliens were specifically targeting the leadership of the human fleet. If they could assimilate the commanders, they would gain access to all of humanity's military secrets. All command staff, she ordered, prepare for Protocol Omega. If capture is imminent, activate the neural purge systems. Protocol Omega was the most classified and controversial order in the human military, a neural implant that would destroy all memories and knowledge in the event of capture. It was a last resort designed to prevent exactly this kind of scenario. The battle reached its climax as the alien fleet closed in on the human formation. The Prometheus shuddered under repeated hits from the alien weapons, and Chen could see that they were being overwhelmed. Then, just as defeat seemed inevitable, salvation came from an unexpected source. Admiral, the communications officer called out, we're receiving a transmission from the far side of the system. It's human. Put it through, Chen ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was strong and clear, with no trace of the hollow echo that had marked Commander Vasquez's transmission. This is Captain James Morrison of the Deep Space Exploration vessel Endeavour. Admiral, we've discovered something you need to know about these aliens. Chen felt a surge of hope. The Endeavour was one of humanity's most advanced exploration ships, equipped with the latest scientific equipment and staffed by the best minds in human space. Captain Morrison, what's your status? We've been studying the alien structures around the star, Admiral. They're not just harvesting energy, they're building something. A massive construction project that spans the entire system. And ma'am, I think I know what it is. Captain Morrison's discovery would prove to be the turning point of the battle. The Endeavour had used its advanced sensors to penetrate the alien construction around the Kepler star, revealing a project of staggering scope and horrifying purpose. They're building a weapon, Admiral, Morrison reported. A stellar manipulation device that can turn stars into directed energy weapons. They're planning to use it against Earth and every other human colony. Chen felt her blood freeze. If the aliens could weaponize stars themselves, no human world would be safe. The entire species would be at their mercy. How long until it's operational, she asked. Based on our analysis, maybe 6 hours. After that, they'll have the power to destroy any planet in the galaxy. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about the Kepler system or even the lost colonies, this was about the survival of humanity itself. If the aliens completed their star weapon, they could methodically destroy every human world without ever having to fight another battle. Captain, Chen said, can the weapon be destroyed? Yes, ma'am, but it would require a massive coordinated strike on the control nodes. The problem is they're heavily defended, and we'd need to get close enough to target specific weak points. Chen looked at the tactical display, her mind racing. The human fleet was badly outnumbered and taking heavy casualties. But if they could destroy the star weapon, they might be able to turn the tide of the battle. All ships, she broadcast to the fleet, new priority target. We're going after the alien construction around the star. This is our chance to end this threat once and for all. The human fleet began to reorganize, breaking off from the main battle to make a desperate run at the star weapon. The aliens seemed to anticipate this move, and their ships moved to intercept with deadly efficiency. They know what we're trying to do, observed Commander Jackson. They're throwing everything they have at us. Chen watched as wave after wave of alien ships attacked the human formation. The fleet was taking terrible casualties, but they pressed on toward their target. Every second counted now. If they failed, humanity would face extinction. "Admiral," Dr. Hartwell called out from her station, "I'm detecting something strange in the alien communications. There are patterns in their signals that suggest internal conflict." Chen looked up from the tactical display. "What kind of conflict?" "The assimilated humans, they're not fully integrated into the collective. There's still individual consciousness fighting against the hive mind. It's causing disruptions in their coordination." This was the first good news Chen had heard all day. If the assimilated humans were still fighting back, it might create opportunities for the fleet to exploit. "Can we enhance that disruption somehow?" she asked. "Maybe," Dr. Hartwell replied. "If we could broadcast a signal on the right frequency, we might be able to strengthen the individual consciousness and weaken the collective control." Chen made a snap decision. "Do it. Broadcast on all frequencies. Remind them who they are." The message that went out from the human fleet was simple but powerful. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. To all humans within the alien collective, you are not alone. We are coming for you. Remember who you are. Remember your families, your homes, your humanity. Fight back." The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien fleet's coordination began to break down as the assimilated humans within the collective fought against their captors. Ships broke formation, weapon systems malfunctioned, and the perfect unity of the hive mind began to crack. "It's working," reported the tactical officer. "The alien fleet is losing cohesion." Chen seized the opportunity. "All ships, maximum acceleration. We're going in." The final assault on the star weapon was a desperate gambit that would determine the fate of humanity. The remaining ships of the human fleet, fewer than 100 now, made a direct run at the alien construction, their weapons blazing. The star weapon was a marvel of alien engineering, a massive array of collectors and focusing devices that surrounded the star like a metallic web. But it was also vulnerable. The control nodes that Morrison had identified were lightly armored, designed more for precision than defense. "Target the control nodes," Chen ordered. "Everything we have." The human ships opened fire with everything they had left. Railguns, plasma cannons, missile salvos, every weapon in the fleet focused on the critical control points of the star weapon. The aliens fought back desperately, their ships swarming around the human fleet like angry insects. But the disruption caused by the assimilated humans continued to hamper their efforts, and the disciplined fire of the human fleet began to take its toll. One by one, the control nodes exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The star weapon began to collapse, its delicate balance disrupted by the destruction of critical components. "It's working," Morrison reported from the Endeavour. "The weapon is collapsing." "But Admiral, we need to get out of here, the entire structure is going to implode." Chen looked at the tactical display, calculating distances and time. Most of the fleet could escape, but not all. Someone would have to stay behind to ensure the weapon's complete destruction. "Admiral," Commander Jackson said quietly, "the Prometheus is the only ship with enough firepower to guarantee the weapon's destruction. But we won't be able to escape in time." Chen nodded, understanding. The flagship would have to sacrifice itself to save humanity. It was a bitter irony. They had summoned the greatest war fleet in human history, only to have victory depend on the sacrifice of its flagship. "All ships except Prometheus, withdraw to minimum safe distance," she ordered. "We'll finish this." "Admiral," Jackson protested, "there has to be another way." "There isn't," Chen replied firmly. "And even if there was, this is what we signed up for. To protect humanity, no matter the cost." The bridge crew worked in grim silence as the Prometheus positioned itself for the final attack. Around them, the alien construction continued to collapse, massive sections of the star weapon falling into the star itself. "All stations, prepare for final bombardment," Chen announced. "It's been an honor serving with you." The Prometheus opened fire with everything it had, its weapon systems pushed beyond their design limits. The massive dreadnought shuddered under the recoil as it poured death and destruction into the heart of the star weapon. The alien construction began to collapse in earnest, its supports failing as the star's gravity reclaimed the artificial structures. But the aliens made one last desperate attempt to stop the destruction, sending every ship they had against the Prometheus. "Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12, reported the damage control officer. We're losing life support." Chen gripped her command chair as the ship shook under the alien assault. "Hold position. Keep firing." The final moments of the battle were a blur of explosions and desperate action. The Prometheus, battered and broken, continued to fire even as the alien fleet swarmed around it. But the ship's sacrifice was not in vain. The last of the control nodes exploded in a brilliant flash, and the star weapon began its final collapse. "It's done," Morrison reported from the Endeavour. "The weapon is destroyed. Admiral, you need to get out of there now." Chen looked at the tactical display, then at her crew. The ship was too damaged to escape, and the collapse of the star weapon was accelerating. In minutes, the entire area would be consumed by the star's destabilized energy. "All hands, this is Admiral Chen," she announced over the ship's communication system. "Abandon ship." "That's an order." But even as the evacuation began, Chen knew that many wouldn't make it. The ship was too damaged, and there wasn't enough time. As she watched her crew fighting to save each other, she felt a pride that transcended the approaching death. Then, just as the star weapon's final collapse began, something unexpected happened. The alien ships that had been swarming around the Prometheus suddenly stopped their attack. Instead of continuing to fight, they began to retreat, their formation breaking apart. "Admiral," Dr. Hartwell called out, "the collective is collapsing. Without the star weapon to provide power, they can't maintain control over the assimilated humans." Chen watched in amazement as the alien fleet began to dissolve. Ships that had fought with perfect coordination suddenly turned on each other as the freed humans fought to escape their captors. The hive mind that had seemed so invincible was tearing itself apart. "Morrison," she called to the Endeavour, "can you get us out of here?" "Already on it, Admiral. The entire fleet is moving to assist." The rescue of the Prometheus would become one of the most celebrated events in human military history. Despite the ship's extensive damage, the combined efforts of the fleet managed to evacuate most of the crew before the star weapon's final collapse. Admiral Chen stood in the observation deck of the rescue ship, watching as the last pieces of the alien construction fell into the star. The weapon that could have destroyed humanity was gone, and with it, the immediate threat to human civilization. But the victory had come at a terrible cost. Of the 400 ships that had entered the Kepler system, fewer than half had survived. Thousands of brave men and women had given their lives to prevent humanity's extinction. "The final casualty reports," Commander Jackson said, handing her a data pad. Chen's heart was heavy as she read the numbers: ships lost, crews killed, entire squadrons wiped out. Each entry represented someone who had answered the call and paid the ultimate price. "And the colonies?" she asked. "We've managed to free about 30,000 people from the alien collective," Jackson reported. "They're traumatized, but they're human again. The medical teams are working around the clock to help them readjust." Chen nodded, grateful for any good news. The people who had been assimilated into the collective would need years of therapy and support, but they were alive and free. It was something. "What about the aliens themselves?" she asked. "Most of the ships have been destroyed or abandoned. The few survivors seem to be fleeing the system. Without the collective consciousness to bind them together, they're just individual creatures trying to survive." Chen looked out at the stars, wondering if humanity had seen the last of this threat. The aliens had been defeated, but they had come from somewhere beyond human space. There might be others out there, other hive minds with their own agendas. "Admiral," Dr. Hartwell approached, her expression thoughtful. "I've been analyzing the alien technology. Some of it is remarkably advanced biological computers, organic weapons systems, methods of faster-than-light travel that we don't understand." "Are you suggesting we study it?" Chen asked. "I'm suggesting we need to understand it," Hartwell replied. "This attack was coordinated and purposeful. The aliens knew about human colonies, our technology, our weaknesses. They've been watching us, studying us. We need to return the favor. Chen considered this. The idea of studying alien technology was appealing, but it also carried risks. The very thing that had made the aliens so dangerous, their ability to assimilate and transform, could potentially be turned against humanity if they weren't careful. Set up a research team, she decided. But with strict protocols. No direct contact with alien biological systems, and everything studied in complete isolation. As the fleet prepared to return to human space, Chen reflected on the battle and its lessons. Humanity had faced extinction and survived, but only through tremendous sacrifice and a great deal of luck. The call that had summoned the greatest human war fleet had ultimately saved the species, but it had also revealed how vulnerable they really were. The journey back to Earth took a week, during which Chen worked tirelessly to compile reports and recommendations for the government. The fleet that returned was smaller and scarred, but it carried with it the knowledge that humanity could unite in the face of extinction. The homecoming was bittersweet. Crowds gathered at every port to welcome the returning heroes, but the celebrations were tempered by the knowledge of what had been lost. Memorial services were held for the fallen, and their names were inscribed on monuments that would remind future generations of the price of freedom. 6 months after the Battle of Kepler, Admiral Chen stood before the United Earth Council to deliver her final report. The Great Chamber was packed with representatives from every human colony, all eager to hear the complete story of humanity's greatest battle. The threat has been eliminated, she began, but we must not become complacent. The aliens who attacked us came from beyond our known space, and we have no guarantee that they were the only ones of their kind. She paused, looking out at the assembled delegates. The colonies that were attacked have been rebuilt, and the survivors are slowly recovering from their ordeal. But we must learn from this experience. We must strengthen our defenses, improve our technology, and most importantly, maintain the unity that saved us. Counselor Williams from the Mars colony raised his hand. Admiral, what do you recommend for future defense? Chen had given this question considerable thought. We need a permanent rapid response fleet, ships and crews stationed at strategic points throughout human space, ready to respond to any threat. We also need better intelligence gathering capabilities. The aliens were able to study us for years without our knowledge. We can't allow that to happen again. And the alien technology? Asked Dr. Reeves from the Research Council. We're studying it carefully, Chen replied. But I must emphasize the dangers involved. The aliens' greatest strength was their ability to assimilate and transform. We must ensure that in trying to understand them, we don't fall victim to the same fate. The questions continued for hours, covering every aspect of the battle and its aftermath. But Chen's mind kept returning to the moment when Commander Vasquez's voice had come through the alien communications, a human consciousness trapped within a hive mind, fighting to maintain its individuality. After the session, Chen walked through the memorial gardens that had been established to honor the fallen. Each name was carved in stone, a permanent reminder of the price of victory. She found Commander Jackson's name among them. He had died in the final evacuation of the Prometheus, ensuring that others could escape. They won't be forgotten, said a voice behind her. Chen turned to find Dr. Hartwell approaching, her expression solemn. None of them will, Chen agreed. But I sometimes wonder if we truly understand what we're up against. The aliens we fought, they weren't just conquerors. They were something else, something that saw individual consciousness as a weakness to be corrected. That's what made them dangerous, Hartwell replied. But it's also what made them vulnerable. When the assimilated humans fought back, they couldn't maintain their unity. It's proof that individual consciousness, individual will, is stronger than any collective. Chen nodded, but she remained troubled. The battle had been won, but the war for humanity's future was far from over. Somewhere out in the darkness between the stars, other threats might be waiting. And when they came, humanity would need to be ready. As she walked through the memorial gardens, Chen reflected on the call that had summoned the greatest human war fleet. It had been a desperate cry for help from a doomed colony, but it had also been something more, a reminder that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its weapons or technology, but in its willingness to stand together against the darkness. The fleet that had answered that call was scattered now, its ships returned to their home ports and its crews back with their families. But the bonds forged in battle remained strong. When the next threat emerged, and Chen was certain humanity would be ready to answer the call once again. The memorial gardens were quiet in the evening light, but Chen could almost hear the voices of the fallen, reminding her that the price of freedom was eternal vigilance. The greatest human war fleet had done its duty, but the greatest victory was yet to come, the victory of ensuring that humanity would never again face extinction alone. 5 years after the Battle of Kepler, Admiral Saracen stood on the bridge of the new UES Prometheus II, watching as the most advanced fleet in human history prepared for its maiden voyage. The lessons learned from the alien attack had transformed humanity's approach to space defense, creating a military force unlike anything previously imagined. The new ships were marvels of engineering, incorporating the best of human technology with carefully studied alien innovations. The biocomputers that had once served the hive mind had been adapted to enhance human decision-making, while the organic armor that had protected alien ships now defended human vessels. Fleet Status Report, Chen requested. All ships ready for departure, Admiral, reported her new first officer, Commander Sarah Martinez. The Deep Space Monitoring Network is fully operational, and the rapid response fleets are positioned at strategic points throughout human space. Chen nodded, satisfied. The network of monitoring stations and response fleets would ensure that no alien force could ever again approach human space undetected. But more importantly, the experience of the Kepler battle had united humanity in ways that peacetime never could. Admiral, the communications officer announced, were receiving a priority signal from the outer monitoring stations. They're detecting ships approaching from the Vega system. Chen felt a familiar chill, but this time it was tempered by confidence. Humanity was no longer unprepared for the unexpected. Are they hostile? She asked. Unknown, ma'am. But they're not responding to our standard first contact protocols. Chen moved to the tactical display, studying the approaching ships. They were different from the organic vessels of the previous attackers, sleeker, more mechanical, but clearly alien in origin. All ships, battle stations, she ordered. But hold fire unless fired upon. We're not starting a war if we can avoid it. As the alien ships approached, Chen reflected on how much had changed since that first desperate call from Commander Vasquez. Humanity had faced extinction and survived, but more than that, it had learned to face the unknown with courage and unity. The communication panel crackled to life, and a new voice filled the bridge, alien, but somehow familiar. Human vessels, this is the collective of free worlds. We come not as conquerors, but as allies. We have heard of your victory over the hive mind, and we wish to join the fight against the darkness. Chen exchanged glances with her crew. It seemed that humanity's greatest battle had not only saved their own species, but had also inspired others to stand against the forces of tyranny and assimilation. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Fleet, she responded. We welcome all who stand for freedom and individual consciousness. Let us talk. As the two fleets met in the space between stars, Chen realized that the call that had summoned the greatest human war fleet had done more than save humanity, it had begun a new chapter in galactic history. The battle for the future of conscious thought had only just begun, but humanity would no longer fight alone. The stars held new challenges and new opportunities, but Chen was confident that whatever came next, humanity would face it with the same courage and unity that had saved them at Kepler. The greatest human war fleet had answered the call, and in doing so, had called forth a new alliance of free peoples among the stars. The battle was won, but the war for freedom would continue. And Admiral Sarah Chen, along with all of humanity, was ready for whatever came next.